Greetings fellow sci-fi enthusiasts, I'm Karol and welcome to my Muta Hominid channel where we discuss good science fiction in all shape and form. Oh my, this is new, right? There is no other hundreds of channels doing this stuff, right? Well, yes and no, because this series is called Science Fiction from Poland with Love. Contrary to the other book reviewers' content, my series is aimed at all of you English-speaking sci-fi lovers who want to know what is going on elsewhere, abroad, and here I come to show you what is cooking in Polish science fiction. I will talk about stuff you cannot get your hands on because it wasn't translated to English and published outside of my country. So unless you learn Polish and get yourself a copy, this is where you can find out about all sci-fi goodiness from Poland. You all probably know Stanisław Lem, most well-known Polish sci-fi writer. But how many of you do know Jerzy Żuławski? What about Janusz Zajdel? Jacek Dukaj, anyone? No? And countless others, retired, still active, in their prime, or just coming to the scene? Want to know more? Hold my beer. As an introduction to this series, I could not think of more fitting book from a very promising author. Let's talk about Lagrange Letters from Earth by Istvan Vizvary, a stunning novel that is about to sweep up all genre awards in Poland, at least according to me and voices of the people on the internet. Istvan Vizvary lives in Łódź. He is a mathematician and IT specialist, works as a software architect, likes photography, playing tabletop games, cooking and eating, but his true passion is science fiction. He debuted with short story in 2010 in Science Fiction, Fantasy and Horror paper magazine in Poland. Later on, his stories got published in Nowa Fantastica paper magazine, as well as Shortal and Essentia web magazines. Istvan's first novel, Vivo, was published in 2017, and today we will talk about his second and newest book, Lagrange Letters from Earth. Have you ever encountered a book that you just finished reading and realized you have to start over again immediately? Have you ever come across a puzzle so clever and complex that at the end of solving it, you find out that the solution could have been different? What if the picture could change again upon every second try? Vizvary arrives to the scene hard and takes no prisoners. He won't guide you by hand and will force you to think right from the beginning. He starts off a bit space operish, with a dash of post-apocalypse, a bit of cyberpunk, and a sprinkle of biopunk themes. Earth slowly dies, at least in a shape that we all know right now. A disease has wiped out all the angiosperm plants, the ecosystem has been disrupted, and humanity, those that are still alive and have access to the scraps of technology, is slowly slipping into post-civilization darkness. There is nothing that can be done but to wait for the remaining surviving species to take over niches that have been created. Humanity, now reduced to the level of nomadic tribes, gatherers and hunters, is likely to survive, so there is some hope for a better future. And there's still a plan to conquer space. A plan that is underway and in the process of testing technology during the exploration of Saturn's moons during the mission of Cyclops ESS Steropes. This thread is the main plot of the novel. The ocean of Enceladus is a perfect place to test how the newest, highly sophisticated research equipment will work. While in the process, we are also presented with an abandoned Soviet space station to investigate, stuck at the Lagrange point, a place where the gravitational interactions of the planet and the moon balance each other out and ensure that an object placed there will stay there. Sounds simple? It is only the appearance. At the beginning we meet David, rescued from a space station fire, talking to his rescuer, Les Twins. David has a serious problem. He is missing an exocortex and a face. Twins, on the other hand, well, he paid for the rescue mission with burns of 97% of his body surface. He lost his limbs and is stuck in a tank, awaiting reconstruction. Temporarily awake, communicates only through a computer that reads his thoughts. Pessimistic theme of this scene sets the tone for the rest of the story. It's not gonna be peachy. I mentioned the cyberpunk aspect. The exocortex that David lacks so much is a device that gives access to databases, the ship's operating systems, but can also assist with and even guide the body, regulate emotions, hormone and neurotransmitter levels. It filters speech and imposes graphics on the environment in an augmented reality. Without the exocortex, David feels helpless, out of control, out of touch, and gets angry very quickly. He doesn't fit with all the cyborgized people, perceiving him as a savage. In addition, in his exo, David creates a software called the narrator. It's a kind of special artificial intelligence that behaves like a detective inspector who, after uploading data about an incident, like in this case a fire at the station, interprets it and then spins a story about what might have happened. Thanks to the narrator, David has discovered what caused the fire, but for lack of an exocortex the software is incomplete. The unavailability of sophisticated tools strongly annoys the protagonist, and he often vents his frustration during conversations. "How do you feel?" Sis asked. "Like a dick," replied David. He sat on the bed, leaning with his back against the wall. "Why?" "I've been waiting for an exocortex for 2 years and still... fuck. Always something." "Why do you care about him?" Dave sighed. He didn't understand how these conversations helped. They always started with questions about the same trivial matters. David answered like a persistent 5-year-old, but they ended with ever new conclusions, sometimes even reasonable ones. "I want to fly to Alpha Centauri," he said. "Without an exo, it's impossible. You have to have access to data, tools, systems. Besides, I have to finish the narrator." "Why do you have to?" "Because their semantic networks are crap. They won't spit out any information beyond what they get. They'll spend a month looking for the cause of a fucking fire, instead of feeding the Wolfram foam with what they know, and boom, all clear. We fly to Alpha safe and happy." "So you want to contribute to progress?" "I want to not get burned in the Interstellar, and I want to win my ticket to Alpha. There's a competition, remember?" "Why do you care about flying there?" Sis ignored David's question. David rolled his eyes. "Can you answer differently than you always do?" "I have no intention of spending the rest of my life here. This was supposed to be an adventure, not a penal colony." "Do you feel trapped on the station?" "I feel trapped in this shit." David slapped his forehead with an open palm. "No Olsens, no polishing of the surroundings. I get dizzy if I turn too fast. People think I'm a troglodyte because I say what I think instead of filtering." "You don't want them to know what you think?" "I do, but I want to fit in." We also have a biopunk team, which is Pleione, the thought lichen. This organic creation is so complex that it can explore its surroundings at a level inaccessible to human senses. Pleione is tasked with expanding its withers and collecting data where humans cannot reach. And it does this very well. Not to say too well. Pleione acquires so much data that processing and even interpreting it is a task too complicated for humans. But what do we have exocortexes and narrator for, huh? Right tool for the right job is a human advantage, right? Ever since the first, not yet muta, but ordinary hominid grabbed a stone and struck another with it, with the intention of chipping off a piece with a sharp edge, utility items, and with them the emerging technology, became an indispensable part of our lives. Slowly but inexorably, we developed it, we moved from pestles to hammers, we invented sewing needles, bows for hunting, magnifying glasses, and finally, the degree of complication of the devices we build resulted in microscopes, telescopes, computers, and spaceships with artificial intelligence algorithms. We have acquired tools that are no longer just necessary for survival or to support our senses, but can actually replace them. Zooming in, magnifying, allowing us to see in a range of light frequencies inaccessible to our eyes or to hear sounds that are beyond the scale perceived by our ears. Today, astrophysicists are concerned with interpreting data coming in from telescopes and space probes. That way, they build models of how things work and study the mechanisms behind the formation and behavior of stars or galaxies. Except they sometimes hit scientific wall. Surely you have seen headlines like "Scientists discover it defies the laws of physics" or "It shouldn't exist." What is the real problem here? Is it our tools or is it the interpretation of data? This is the question that Istvan Vizvary asks in his book. How far can we trust the interpretation of data? At what point do our tools start to influence our reception and understanding of information? Who are we without our tools? Primitive gatherers and hunters, to which level people left behind on a dying Earth are regressing? And finally, can such complex tools be trusted if we do not fully know how they work? The second important question the author poses is all well-known Stanisław Lem's "Can we understand the truly alien?" Is it possible for us or our sophisticated tools? Here Istvan Vizvary counters. Perhaps the alien is interested in the tools themselves, considering us as an uninteresting primitive add-on. The answers to these questions are in the novel, but they require interpretation, an organic one without exocortex. So here we are, flying our Cyclops ESS Steropes equipped with Pleione, along with crew supported by exocortexes. And finally, we encounter a mystery related to an abandoned Russian space station. A signal comes from it, although there shouldn't be any. The story starts sharp and hard, and then after a while, at one point, cuts off. Just like that, in the middle of the sentence, and then it starts on again, but without any direct continuation. This is a deliberate move by the author, and not at all driven by a desire to confuse the reader. The plot demands it, and it is an indispensable part of the story. We have to make an effort, and then we get hit by another cut. Don't be put off. I assure you it makes as much sense as possible, and the unraveling of the mystery is satisfying on that deep level that you will only find in the best science fiction. The strengths of the novel are the interestingly described and working devices and technologies, but also that one central mystery idea. What happened on the Russian station? What is the mysterious signal and what is it doing? Where do the crew's growing problems of a psychological nature come from? And why does the whisper turn purple? Lagrange Letters from Earth is something completely unique. You simply have to check it out for yourself. Writing-wise, there is nothing to complain. Vizvary writes dynamically without long-winded boring passages. The dialogues are interesting and realistic, and the characters feel alive and able to strike back sharply with sarcasm. David right at the beginning gives us a good display of personality unfiltered by exocortex, and despite the pessimistic tone of the novel, one can laugh at times, although only in between moments of deep reflection of the nature of the man, reality or the universe. Let's remember that Steropes' mission is to test the technologies designed to help us to venture outside the solar system, directly into a strange universe full of the unknown. I have to admit it, Lagrange Letters from Earth is the best novel I have read in the last year. I highly recommend it to everyone. It is dynamically written, hard SF, with great ideas, which is all we want from a good novel. And I cannot wait for more from Istvan Vizvary. As a bonus, if you plan to attend this year's Worldcon in Glasgow, you can meet the author there. That's all for today, my friends. Stay cool and see you in the next video.